What's up, guys? Road to 194, day one, currently 163.2 pounds as of my last check-in with my coach, and I plan to compete at 194 in the next 2 to 3 years. I've got a long way to go, and I'm actually not even in the bulking phase yet. I'm still cutting down because my coach has a unique approach of getting guys down to 6 to 8% body fat before they bulk up, and we actually go right into a bulk after that cut is over. Most people, when they finish with a contest prep, they typically dial up their calories to maintenance right away, or they slowly dial them up over the course of, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks. After their cut, maybe they'll increase their calories by 300, 400, 500. Over the course of a month or so, they'll get back to maintenance, and then they'll bulk up. What my coach does is he cuts you down to the point where you're super lean, and his outlook is that that's the time when you're in an optimal position to build the most muscle possible. So he just floods you with calories for 4 to 6 weeks after that, gets you all filled up, strong again, filled out again, filled up with glycogen. Your muscles are all filled up with the sarcoplasmic growth. And after those 4 to 6 weeks, then you go into a maintenance phase for a short period of time, which is another 4 to 6 weeks. Then you go for the bulk. So that's the plan. Currently, I'm hopefully less than 3 weeks away from being done with my cut. I'm 14 weeks in so far. But today, I'm going to be meal prepping some food for tomorrow. It's just going to be chicken, rice, and zucchini. And if you look at the screen, tomorrow is a low day, which is the easiest day for me to prepare for. It's the least amount of math I have to do because all the meals are the same. As you can see, I've got 5 meals here, every single one of them, 40 grams of protein, 25 grams of carbs, and 7 grams of added fats. The only meal that I don't prepare beforehand is breakfast, and that's because I cook breakfast in the morning and it's different than the rest of my meals. It's going to be egg whites, some oatmeal, and stuff like that. So we're going to be focusing on 4 meals today. It's going to be meals 2 through 5. So I've already done some math here. For my 4 meals, I need 160 grams of protein, which is going to be 712 grams of raw chicken. I weigh my chicken raw. Some people weigh it after they cook it. That's fine. I do it raw. And the 100 grams of carbs, I'm going to get 20 of those from zucchini. So I need 745 grams of raw zucchini for that. And the other 80 is going to be from brown rice, or 104.3 grams of dry brown rice. So the first thing that I'm going to do is throw my rice in the rice cooker. I've already got the 104.3 grams weighed out. I'm going to throw it in there with probably roughly 2 times the amount of water as rice. Just a quick tip for those of you who have an Instant Pot or a rice cooker. When you cook brown rice, usually you don't use the rice setting on the rice cooker, you use the grain setting. I still haven't figured out how to use mine properly. It's a Spanish rice cooker with Spanish writing on it. And even if I translate it, it just doesn't seem to be working the way that I expect it to. The grain setting goes for 35 minutes. I like to cook mine for 22 minutes, and then I let it depressurize. So what I'm going to do is set a timer on my phone for 22 minutes. And when that's up and there's 13 minutes left on the rice cooker, I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to let it depressurize, and then I'll measure it out after that to prepare my meals. In the meantime, I'm going to cut some zucchini. And by the way, I'm not sure if you can see, but I've got a pretty small kitchen here. I got a small fridge, a small stove, so I can't really cook that much at once, and I can't store that much at once. That's why sometimes I have to cook things one thing at a time. I'm going to cook the zucchini first, and then I'm going to cut up the chicken and cook it after that. All right, so the zucchini's all cut up. I don't really bother seasoning it. I don't see any need to. I'm going to season my chicken. I'm going to mix the zucchini with it. And I just think it tastes good as it is anyway. So all I'm going to do is take a little bit of water and put it in that pan to help steam it. I'm going to cover it up, and I'm just going to saute it in the pan until I feel like it's done. All right, now for the fun part, which is cutting up the chicken. I have to give credit where credit is due here. I saw Fuad Abiyad cutting up his chicken with scissors on YouTube. He always uses scissors. I used to use a knife all the time, and it was kind of a real pain in the ass. I tried the scissors once, thinking that it was kind of stupid, to be honest, and I've never looked back. It's like the greatest thing ever. It makes it so much easier. So I'm going to cut up 712 grams of raw chicken, and then I'm going to saute that in a minute too. And just for the record, depending on where you buy your chicken and what kind of chicken you buy, some of it's going to have more of that nasty shit on it than others. You know, some of that weird skin looking stuff that you have to peel off. It's so much easier to trim that off with scissors than it ever has been for me with a knife. Trying to balance it on the cutting board and slice it off with the knife without cutting off too much of the chicken. With the scissors, I just slice down the side and it's so much easier. All right, guys, the zucchini is done. I'm not going to bother weighing this out just because all 4 of the meals are going to add up to 20 grams of carbohydrates total. So I'm just going to eyeball this and throw it in 4 different containers. This almost feels like cheating. Like if you see the amount of food volume in one of these containers compared to what the rice is going to look like, I mean, that entire pan was filled with the zucchini. It's just going to give me more volume to help me feel a little bit more satiated when I have my meals. Also, obviously, the micronutrients in the zucchini and whatnot. But when you're deep into a cut and you're not really getting many calories and you have no energy all day long, it's nice to have just a little bit more volume to make your stomach feel like it's full. And now I'm going to repurpose that pan that I just used for the zucchini, and I'm going to toss the chicken in there. All right, so before I throw the heat on the chicken, that I actually am going to season. So I've got Celtic sea salt, onion powder, no salt, which is a salt substitute that has potassium instead of sodium, paprika, a little bit of cinnamon, black pepper, and garlic powder. Oh, and can't forget the oregano. I love oregano. All right, guys, so the chicken is done. I've weighed it all out, and there's 476 grams of cooked chicken. The reason that I weigh it beforehand and afterwards is because, well, I do it before because I want to know exactly how much I'm cooking, so I get the right amount when it's done. But afterwards, I get the dry weight, so I can divide it up by 4 and put it into 4 meals. So each one's going to get 119 grams of chicken. All right, so the rice is done too. I just took it out of the rice cooker. I'm going to give you guys a little pro tip that I use at least. I know some guys, they just measure it out with a cup or they measure out X grams of cooked rice. Now, the problem that I see with that is that rice holds so much water, it loses moisture rather quickly, and I just don't see that as being really dependable. But since I just cooked mine for 4 meals and I'm measuring it out right now for 4 meals, when you first take it out of the rice cooker, I don't know if you can see the steam coming off of it in the video, but it's losing moisture rapidly, which means it's losing weight rapidly, which means if I weigh it right now and I start trying to divide it up, things are just going to be off, and that bothers me because I'm a little OCD and I want my meals to be even. So what I do is when I first take it out of the rice cooker, I just take my spatula and I kind of fluff it around to get it to lose some steam. And I'll do this a couple of times over the course of 3 to 5 minutes just to make sure that it gets dry enough to where it's not losing like 30 grams over the course of a minute, because that's going to throw off my numbers. It's still going to lose a little moisture, and that doesn't bother me that much, but I want it to at least be somewhat accurate. So I'm going to let this dry off a little bit so that it gives me an accurate measurement. Then I'm going to measure it out, and I'm going to divide it up among the 4 meals. All right, it's been about 3 minutes. I'm satisfied. We're looking at 324 grams, which, if my math is correct, that means 81 grams a piece, but I'm gonna use my calculator just to make sure. 80.75 grams of rice for each one. So I'm just gonna tear out my scale so that it's at 0. I'm gonna subtract 80.75. All right, so as you can see, all 4 are done now, and I made sure to get every single grain of rice out of the cup, off of the spatula and spoon that I used, out of the rice cooker. If you've ever been deep into a cut, you know how it is. No grain of rice gets left behind. So I'm all set for tomorrow. All I have to do is cook breakfast. It's my day off. Day after that, I'm going to train back. I know this might seem tedious, and a lot of you guys who come across this video might be thinking, why would you go through all that every single day? That seems extremely boring. It seems like a lot of work. Well, first of all, like I said, I have a small kitchen, so I can't really prep that many meals at once. But second of all, a lot of people out there, they think that all you got to do is go to the gym, lift some weights, do some steroids, and you'll be jacked and you'll be shredded. If you want to succeed in this game, if you want to get jacked, if you want to get lean, it's all about the diet. It's like 90% of it. If I had to rank things in order of being most important to least important, I'd say diet, genetics, sleep, and training, probably in that order. And then steroids after that. Maybe you can move one around and switch it with another, but diet's always going to be at the top. So it might be boring, but you got to do what you got to do. If you want to take this seriously, you got to be doing this once a day, once a week, whatever it is for you, depending on the size of your kitchen and what your schedule is like and all that stuff. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, help grow the channel. It's brand new. I'm trying to put this information out for more people. Appreciate you guys watching. See you next time. Oh, and by the way, in case you were wondering about the added fat, I do that at the time when I eat my meal. I'm going to throw some olive oil in there when I'm ready to eat. I don't put the olive oil in there before I put it in the fridge because I don't know. I just worry about it leaking or something like that. So I'd rather just wait till I'm ready to eat. See you next time.